The Merrimack rises in wilderness, as many great rivers do. High in the White Mountains, the rain falls and the snow melts. These waters collect in small ponds. The ponds overflow into brooks, which grow into streams, and then combine into a river. We call it the Pemigewasset here, an Indian name meaning long rapids. As the river rushes to the sea, millions of acres of watershed feed its flow, bringing life and prosperity to those who drink from its waters. But for many years, the river was abused. Competing users were indifferent to the needs of others, and the river almost died. Fortunately, that time is passing. We're learning that we must balance the use of our water resources, that a river is a resource we can all share. The Merrimack River Valley has been an industrial valley since the 19th century, when it was the center of the developing textile industry. Some say the Industrial Revolution in America started here. All the great cities along the Merrimack, Manchester, Nashua, Lowell, Lawrence, grew out of mill towns that attracted the Irish, then the French, and many others. They came here because the rivers provided power for the mills, and the mills provided jobs. The city of Lawrence was a planned industrial city. Its mills, canals, and Great Stone Dam were all built to use the river for powering industrial development. The river provided for other needs too. Transportation, both upstream and down, in the days when the steamboats operated between dams. Before electric refrigerators, blocks of ice were sold door to door. The ice was cut from the river during the winter months and stored in the ice houses on the river. People used the river for enjoyment too. Public bathhouses were the place to be on a hot summer afternoon. Unfortunately, over the years, use of the river for industrial and land development needs prevailed, overwhelming river resources and threatening their survival. 100 years ago, industrial use so polluted the river that no one else could use the water. Land development threatened to seriously damage the river and its wetlands. Now we're learning to balance the needs of developers and industrial growth with the equally important need to preserve river resources. At the Great Stone Dam in Lawrence, the Lawrence Hydro Project also depends on the river's resources and uses them responsibly. Here, water power is used to generate electricity for thousands of homes, schools, and businesses. The dam has been here since the mid-1850s. The same materials and construction still function today, along with an improved pneumatic press gate system to maintain normal water levels while alleviating high flows and flood potential when necessary. Flow of the water is utilized by flowing through the two hydroelectric turbines. The water passes through the turbines, and the fall in elevation spins the generator shaft. The spinning generator creates power. That power is sold to local utility companies such as National Grid and Eversource through the Electric Market Services of ISO New England, which balances power supply and demand functions throughout the region to meet everyone's power needs. The power generated here can power thousands of households. This hydro facility is what's called a limited impact user and operates in a run-of-river mode. Virtually no water is lost in this process. Every drop of water that goes into the plant is put back into the river after it passes through, and all inflow to the project is passed downstream. There are devices on the intake side of the plant which are called trash racks. These grates, similar to chain link fences, protect the turbine's riverborne debris. They also help to keep the river clean because any large debris that's collected on the racks is removed and disposed of in a dumpster. Things like oil drums, tires, large trees, and other debris that would normally be passed downstream are taken out at the turbine intake. There is also a fish elevator here. Anadromous fish seeking upstream passage are lifted approximately 30 feet up to the project impoundment to continue their migratory to spawn, typically each spring. Following spawning, fish moving downstream are able to move back to the ocean through the fish bypass, a sluice which carries them around the project's turbines. The plant also contains specific measures to pass American eel upstream and passes thousands of andromous and catadromous fish upstream each year. All of the project's passage measures, upstream and downstream, are monitored and supervised by several state and federal natural resource agencies, acting collectively as the Merrimack River Technical Committee. The project undertakes annual assessment, repairs, and improvements to passage measures working with and upon direction of the Technical Committee. Today, the development of high-tech industries in the valley requires a clean environment to attract an energetic workforce, and many businesses are working to make it happen. We are beginning to find that critical balance between a healthy economy, healthy communities, and a healthy river. Manufacturing and hydroelectric power both need water. Other users need water too. Drinking, agriculture, waste disposal, recreation are all uses of the river which must be balanced. We are also learning to look beyond the river. Everything we do throughout the 5,000 square mile watershed that feeds the river has a profound effect on our water supply. Today, over 300,000 people drink and use water drawn from the Merrimack River. Every year, more towns will need to supplement their water supply with river water. As traditional sources of drinking water are taxed, the river is an increasingly attractive choice. Even far-off population centers such as Boston have looked at the Merrimack as an alternative water source. Protecting the river environment is no longer an option. It is not just the dream of conservationists. It is an absolute necessity, one that concerns each of us if we are to preserve natural resources and our way of life. Local people play an important role in wetlands protection. Wetlands are important to maintaining the quality of water within the watershed by first absorbing many of the excess nutrients that may come through the wetland and retaining them from going further downstream into another water body and into the river system. Since many of our communities, especially the larger ones, get their water supplies directly from rivers, this is an important aspect to consider. Other functional values of wetlands include things like providing habitat for wildlife. A very key ingredient in any ecosystem is having an abundant and suitable habitat. Roughly a third of the animals that live in our part of the country either depend directly on wetlands or frequent wetlands so often that without them, their lives would greatly be altered. Watershed activists are doing a lot to protect and clean up the rivers. So are businesses and our government. But it's the commitment of thousands of concerned individuals working in local communities throughout the watershed that really makes it happen. We can't stop now that the river is relatively clean because we still face serious threats like toxins in the water, uncontrolled shoreline development, and outdated treatment plants. A few years of neglect and we will be back where we were 50 years ago. We need productive agriculture, and we need to protect groundwater. We need water for industrial use and water for drinking. We need to allow for growth, and growth needs clean water. We must seek a balance between massive withdrawal of water and the need to maintain adequate flow downstream. As we look at the river today, we visualize symbols of the vast watershed that feeds it. It is in our common interest to care for this river and its watershed so that we can all use it in our own special way. The watershed is our only source of water, and we must protect it because it sustains our life.